For years, most viewers believed they had Married with Children completely figured out. They saw it as a straightforward sitcom built on easy punchlines. My husband sells women's shoes for a living. And sharp one-liners like, "Excuse me, is that a hat? Or are you just a member of the British Hair Club for Men?" To audiences, the chaos seemed carefully scripted, and Al Bundy appeared to be nothing more than another exaggerated television character. But decades later, Ed O'Neill revealed a truth that reframed everything. He once recalled that Diller wanted Katie but did not want him, noting that Diller was Murdoch's right-hand man. Executives thought they could do better because they had never even heard of him. Beneath the slumped shoulders, exhausted sighs, and defeated stares, O'Neill carried something deeply personal, something no one recognized at the time. Once he explained it, the entire series took on a different meaning. Long before scandals, boycotts, and before the Bundy name became nationally controversial, there was one scene that struck O'Neill harder than almost anything else in his career: the dodgeball speech. On the surface, it played as comedy Al Bundy, ranting about life crushing people, about hope being a joke, about how winning once in childhood might be the only triumph some ever experience. The audience expected laughter. Instead, when O'Neill delivered it, something shifted. The writers stopped whispering. The crew froze mid-adjustment. Even the live audience, waiting for the next punchline, fell silent. O'Neill later said that was the first time he understood Al was not merely funny. He was tragic. He felt something unplanned, moving beneath the dialogue, something he carried inside the performance. When laughter finally came, it felt strange, as though people were laughing at pain they didn't fully grasp. For years, he avoided explaining what he tapped into. He only hinted that the speech came from a real place, the furthest he was willing to go at the time. Cast members sensed it too. Christina Applegate later admitted that there were moments when Ed was not simply portraying Al, he was feeling something deeper, though she did not know what. No one did. That unspoken weight made the show's abrupt ending sting even more. After carrying Fox through protests, controversy, and some of television's wildest episodes, the series concluded without ceremony. No final meeting, no announcement, no thank you, no closure. O'Neill discovered the cancellation when a couple approached him in Ohio, asking how he felt about it. He initially assumed they were joking. Applegate heard the news on the radio while driving. Katie Sagal learned through casual conversation. 11 seasons ended without a single official call. O'Neill described the finale as cold, and though he did not say it outright at the time, those emotionally charged scenes like the dodgeball monologue suddenly carried even greater meaning. To understand the weight behind his performance, it helps to look at how the sitcom began. Before it became a cultural shockwave, it was born from frustration within the television industry. Creators Michael G. Moye and Ron Levitt were tired of sanitized sitcoms featuring families who never argued, broke down, or struggled. They believed such shows projected a false version of American life. Determined to expose boredom, resentment, and honestly, they titled their early concept, Not the Cosbys. Networks like ABC, CBS, and NBC rejected the idea outright, fearing advertisers would avoid anything messy or confrontational. But Fox, then a struggling new network, desperate for attention, embraced the risk. Executives encouraged the creators to push boundaries even further. They did not want a mild shakeup. They wanted a complete break from tradition. From the first table read, the atmosphere felt intense. The humor was blunt, sometimes harsh. O'Neill, the only cast member with an established career, sat at the center. Fox considered him the actor who could lend legitimacy to the show. He felt the pressure acutely, unsure whether the series would elevate or damage his career. Casting the Bundy family proved equally unpredictable. Katie Sagal arrived at her audition, already transformed into Peggy Bundy, sporting bright red hair and tight clothing that embodied the character's attitude. Her boldness impressed everyone, though rehearsals sometimes felt like verbal sparring matches. Applegate, just 15, replaced the original Kelly and quickly adapted despite the aggressive humor. David Faustino, only 12, brought nervous energy to Bud, often rushing lines but fitting the ambitious yet insecure role perfectly. Amanda Bearse joined as Marcy, bringing seriousness that occasionally clashed with the show's tone. While camaraderie eventually formed, O'Neill later observed that families, real or fictional, can hide tension well. Behind the scenes, tragedy and strain compounded that tension. A TV guide cover featuring only O'Neill and Sagal left Bears feeling invisible. O'Neill remained silent at the time, later regretting it. In 1993, when Bierce married and did not invite him, believing his presence might unsettle guests, the rift deepened. Meanwhile, in 1991, Sagal endured devastating loss when she miscarried at 7 months, despite her pregnancy having been written into the show. Writers hastily turned the planned birth into an Al Bundy dream sequence. Returning to set was, she said, the hardest experience of her life. O'Neill once found her trembling in tears during rehearsal and simply held her, unable to offer words but present in silence. That quiet moment said more than any dialogue. The show also misfired publicly. The introduction of Seven in Season 7 was met with swift rejection. Viewers felt the character was forced, too sweet for the Bundy universe, and disruptive to the show's rhythm. Letters flooded Fox, demanding his removal. Rumors swirled about instability in the writer's room, including unverified claims of a writer struggling in an abusive relationship. O'Neill defended the child actor, arguing that the role unfairly demanded adult-level sarcasm and toughness. Still, Seven vanished without explanation, fueling speculation that something was amiss behind the scenes. Controversy, however, became the show's hallmark. The episode, Her Cups Runneth Over, ignited a national backlash for pushing boundaries beyond what 1980s audiences deemed acceptable. Phone lines lit up, conservative groups protested, and O'Neill remembered thinking backstage that they had either made history or lost their jobs. Both proved true. The band episode, I'll See You in Court, centered on an accidentally recorded intimate tape, was pulled before airing in 1989 and resurfaced decades later in censored form. Political satire, episodes like The Egg and I and Al's Anti-Feminist Men's Club drew accusations of irresponsibility, protests outside Fox headquarters, and claims the show set progress back 10 years. O'Neill insisted the intent was to mock extremes across the board, not promote them. Yet nuance rarely survives outrage. Guest appearances amplified the chaos. Sam Kinison stormed onto the set with explosive energy, electrifying audiences and spiking ratings. O'Neill likened working with him to wrestling a tornado. The show thrived because it was unapologetically chaotic and honest. Still, amid the backlash, headlines, and laughter, O'Neill carried a quieter truth about Al Bundy. When he finally shared it, everything changed. He explained that his 1986 audition was not really an audition. He entered the room slumped, shoulders heavy, releasing a long, tired sigh. He did not perform. He simply sat as he did when exhausted. That posture, he later admitted, came from a family story about a man who worked himself to the ground, holding 2 or even 3 jobs, leaving before sunrise, returning after dark. The man once had dreams of owning a small store or business, or perhaps just having time to breathe. But those dreams faded. His back bent from labor, his spirit bent from disappointment. He stopped making eye contact. He stopped expecting improvement. One night, he went to bed and never woke up. When relatives found him, dry tear streaks marked his cheeks. Though O'Neill knew him only through photographs and stories, that image stayed with him. So when he sat in that audition room, he unconsciously carried that man with him. Years later, he admitted, it wasn't a performance. It was just something I had seen my whole life. The creators responded with 3 words. That's Al Bundy. In that instant, a character audiences would quote for decades was rooted in family tragedy. Fans believed Al's pain was just another joke. O'Neill knew it came from somewhere deeply human and unbearably real. When he finally told the truth, it became clear that the greatest joke in Married with Children was never a joke at all. It was a memory of a worn-down life, carried quietly onto the screen so the world would not forget it. Make sure to click the cards on the screen now for more interesting